So Olin, help us out. We see the Bears lose Declan Doyle. Did they lose someone? You lose Eric Bieniemy. It's a little different because he was kind of an old school screamer. That's a little different. What is this now going to become a place where people pluck offensive coordinators from the Ben Johnson tree?
You hope so, right? You hope it's kind of like what McVay is doing out there with the Rams, but they continue rolling anyway, right? Because they have McVay, they have the system, they have the guy that actually calls the plays, and that's what you're always worried about every year with a young quarterback. If the offense did good, then we lose the OC, and then you lose the system, and everything kind of changes, and there's a new play caller, and how do those two guys get along? And now it seems like the Chicago Bears with Coach Bieniemy and Declan Doyle, really young guy, getting a job. Congratulations to him. We'll see how that goes in Baltimore with him and Lamar Jackson. I think they're the same age, but you see the amount of respect people have for the Chicago Bears when they turn their film on. They watch the concepts they're using, they watch the way they attack the defenses, the way they adjust from week to week. And we talked all year about how impressed we are with the offensive staff, with Coach Ben Johnson. Mully, you mentioned a lot of times how you love to listen to Declan Doyle every week because he would tell you exactly what Ben Johnson was thinking. The guy's been around Sean Payton, really smart guy. He gets a chance to implement his scheme now, what he's learned from two of the best play callers in the NFL. But in my opinion, a really good thing for the Chicago Bears. We haven't seen that in years where people are coming in and saying, man, we need these guys from this building.
Oh, and I agree with that. And I want to say this with all due respect to Declan Doyle and what he brought to the Bears on a regular basis, and due respect to Eric Bieniemy and all he brought on a regular basis, loudly. Unless you're changing the play caller, I don't know if you're changing much, and I don't know if it's any reason for concern. I would be more concerned, frankly, and not just because I'm talking to a former center, if they had lost their offensive line coach. Because I think on this staff, because Ben Johnson as the head coach is the play caller, the next most important offensive assistant is the offensive line coach. So Declan Doyle, I think this was inevitable because he's considered a bright light in the league.
So you're saying bring in Hank Freely as the offensive coordinator.
I'm saying that as long as you have Dan Roushar returning with a group that's intact, that to me is the continuity that you seek.
Yeah, it's well said. And the most important guy for a play caller like Ben Johnson is his offensive line coach. When it got to Dan Roushar through Dan Campbell, they were together in New Orleans. That was kind of their connection. But Coach Roushar was at Tulane, really good football coach. All I did from talk to O-line guys was hear great things about Coach Roushar and the things he teaches and the way he sticks to his standard and demands from his players. And I think we saw that on film this year. And what you're talking about, David, is really, really important for a guy like Ben Johnson. He has to know he can do a lot of things, right? Talk to the quarterback, get his receivers to run the right routes, preach to all his skill guys. He needs a guy in that offensive line room that he knows that work is getting done, that when he calls his plays, those guys understand what he wants, the tempo he wants to bring to the line of scrimmage, and the kind of culture he wants in that room. And Coach Roushar definitely brought that this year. And obviously Ryan Poles bringing in all the free agents, fixing that offensive line, getting them moving in the right direction. David, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm happy you finally came around to the offensive line, the most important position in that building.
Yeah, he's ready for the draft of a left tackle in the first round.
I knew it.
Help us out. Now, seriously, the money has gone up, okay? The amount of money in the salary cap has jumped, so the Bears have more money. The whole league has more money. You look, though, at where they're at. We talked last week about the one-player theory, that you need a player, and you said maybe he's on the team already. Maybe the improvement, advancement of some of these players can be that one-player theory. Do you still feel that way? Does the advance in money? I mean, we hear, you cut this guy, you cut the linebacker, there's money. How do you clear out more money to get a pass rusher? And everyone wants to do that. They already got a lot of money invested in that line. What's your take?
Yeah, it's really a good question. You look at the way the salary cap is going up, and can you go out and make a big move, a big splash for a finisher, right? For a guy like Max Crosby. I know that's what the name that gets mentioned the most, but a guy who can come out there on late in games, third down. We see what Caleb Williams does when he finishes plays. It's like It's like Mariano Rivera used to pitch for the Yankees, right? You bring him in against the best hitter. That's who you need against a quarterback. Late in games, a guy like Matthew Stafford, right? Would have been nice to have a pass rusher getting after him. Late in that game against the Chicago Bears, it always comes down in the playoffs, it seems, to a great quarterback, a Hall of Fame type quarterback, and the pass rusher who needs to get to him, or the pass rush that needs to get to him. So I see what everyone's talking about, okay, can we go out and get this guy who takes us to the next level? But I still think, and I don't know what the Chicago Bears say, but I still think the development of their players in their building is the most important thing for them, to get guys to take the next step, to get Colston Loveland, to turn into a Travis Kelce type, right? That kind of football player, to keep moving in the right direction, to get a Javon Dexter to maybe take another step inside at 3-technique. Can we get Austin Booker to be the guy that you're talking about? But look, if you do find a way, and you can't go answer that question, which is your closer, your finisher, at the end of football games, to get after someone like, Patrick Mahomes or Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold late in games, then if you can't do that and you can't make it work, then I'm sure Ryan Poles is taking a really good look at that situation he has there at the pass rush on the defensive line, because we all watched this year and we all yelled at the TV, where is the pass rush, right? Late in games. Where are the guys getting to the quarterback? Montez Sweat, usually dealing with a double team, usually dealing with some kind of chip. Can we get another guy out there who can really cause havoc on the football field? That'll be interesting as this offseason goes on.
Sticking with player development for a second, stay with me here. So the last game of last season, the Bears felt uncomfortable enough with Theo Benedict at left tackle to move Joe Thuney there for the first time in a season. So clearly they're unsettled with Theo Benedict as the future. Braxton Jones may come back as a depth piece. Let me ask you this. Do you think they will have a conversation about potentially Darnell Wright, who's eligible for an extension? They want to lock him up long term. Could he be your left tackle? And could Theo Benedict go back to the right side where he might be better suited as a run blocker? Sometimes your road graders are there, and that may be a more traditional offensive line. Or is that off the table because you saw Darnell Wright really excel on the right side?
For me, it would be off the table. For them, I don't know, David, but I'm leaving Darnell Wright where he is. I got myself a guy who's ascending to an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player, right? I need that guy there who I can count on in that situation where I want to run the football. You saw how important their run game was to them this year with Darnell Wright, with Jonah Jackson on the same side, with Dahlman there too. Their combo blocks, that really was the key that unlocked their offense, right? Defenses really had to overextend themselves to stop the run on the Chicago Bears' right side of their offensive line. So I wouldn't, right? I could see why that would be something they're talking about up there. Now, Ozzie Trapillo, I don't know where his patella tendon is. I don't know where that comes along, where that argument comes in. But I think they're in the market for a tackle, guys. And look, we saw Ursary do a great job there in Houston this year, right? The left tackle out of University of Minnesota, the Big Ten offensive lineman of the year. So that was in the second round. So you can get guys, right? And the Bears are late there, number 25 pick. So who knows who falls to them. But I see them going out there and trying to fix that with either a free agent or a player in the draft.
It was very interesting to hear Tom Brady talk about Nahshon Wright. He gave him an award, the Best Value Player Award, which he created apparently. He's also an owner. He's also a guy probably looking for a corner.
So he created the award to tamper.
That's why I want to know what the complaint is. First you got the assistant general manager leaving for a general manager job, which supposedly brings you 2 third-round picks. But no, they found a loophole. Matt Ryan's a loophole. And then you turn around, and now they got tampering from a would-be owner or part owner, whatever. I'm just telling you, I feel like the world's coming at me and going after the Bears.
I think that's the South Side in you, Mully. Obviously, you got to always ready for a fight. But listen, I wasn't happy when I heard about the loophole they found for Ian Cunningham, and I hope the Bears, I'm sure they are are behind the scenes fighting that, right? Talking to the league, asking them questions,
Yes.
making them, because we all, we know Matt Ryan doesn't know what Ian Cunningham knows. Ian Cunningham is actually doing the work in that building, right? Teaching Matt Ryan how to study players, how to break down film, how to scout guys, right? Everyone thinks they can do that, but Matt Ryan has never done that, right? So who's the guy actually doing the work? He's the general manager there, right? He actually has taken a step up. He's going to be in charge of that football building. There's no way Matt Ryan knows what to do in that building right now. Talk about scouting players.
Yes.
Like I would just take the NFL league there and say, look, have him make a draft board for you then, since he seems to know. Since he's the guy in this building who's the head football guy. So, hopefully there's some argument going down there, on there. But as far as Tom Brady goes, man, I mean, that guy, that whatever he does, no one ever argues with him, right? Just, I'm going to do games. I'm at the no bull shoes. I'm going to be an owner. He'll probably be a coach next year while he's calling games, right? He'll probably coach quarterbacks, be the general manager, be the owner, own the shoes. And the guy right now is unstoppable. It seems like he lives by different rules and he can get all this information going into buildings. But until someone tells him no, why would you stop?
Olin, this is Super Bowl week. The Super Bowl media night is tonight. And so you've got the Patriots, you've got the Seahawks. And I think for the first time in a while, Bears fans may watch the Super Bowl and not think that their team is that far away from the teams they're watching compete for the Super Bowl title. Curious what you think about these two teams and where you think the edge lies.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right about Bears fans. First of all, David, just going through their rosters and taking a little bit of a look at this Super Bowl coming up. And both general managers, Schneider and Elliott Wolf, have been on a real heater in draft picks, right? And they've really added to their team in free agencies and got the right picks. And obviously they both got their quarterbacks in May and Darnold, and just had guys that we just talked about, drafted guys, and guys have developed. And I know Mully will like this, the Seattle Seahawks right tackle Abraham Lucas was taking one pick after Velus Jones, right, in the 2022 draft. So,
wow.
But just looking at them, their rosters, the Seattle Seahawks definitely have the advantage. Obviously, Vegas has them at, minus 4.5, I think right now, minus 3.5 in some places. But they got the players. They got really good coaching. Their film is great. Their defensive line is going to be a problem in this Super Bowl. The Patriots defense is interesting to watch with Tyrell Williams, who was the Lions run game coordinator last year, which is another guy the Lions lost, is the Patriots defensive coordinator. And you watch them, and man, their defense really reminds you. And I got to play against Vrabel, and the way he plays, smart, strong, really tough football player. They remind you of that kind of guy where there's not a lot of guys who jump off the film at you besides Christian Gonzalez, but really good unit, always in the right spot, smart defense. And I think that the Seahawks have the advantage, but, a takeaway here or takeaway there. The New England Patriots are right in this football game.
Minnesota was sort of dysfunctional last year by all accounts, and now they've fired the general manager. And you look at that team and you just wonder, does that mean Kevin O'Connell is calling all the shots? I know they promoted a guy into that role, but they did get rid of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the general manager. That guy spent a week at the Senior Bowl, got back to Minnesota, and they said, get out. I mean, it's shocking.
It is shocking to see, especially with the year they had last year, right? And the way they built that team up. Now they took a step back this year, and I think a lot of that is that the quarterback you let go is going to the Super Bowl, right? It's hard to answer for those kind of questions, right? I think that is really the big problem there. And is J.J. McCarthy their guy? Is he going to lead them to where the Seattle Seahawks just went? And who let Darnold go out of the building? I know I heard some things about he missed 2 weeks for paternal leave, and I don't even know what that means. But I think it's more the quarterback, to be honest, guys, right? You can miss 2 weeks if you're doing a good job and your football team is winning games, but someone had to answer for that. And like you're saying, I guess it wasn't O'Connell, right? I guess in that building they know who made that decision, who want to move on from Darnold, who want to go to J.J. McCarthy. Really interesting, like you're talking about, always in the NFL. Who ends up staying, who ends up going, and where the blame actually ends up is always an interesting thing to watch. And they tell you the story just by who they fire, or what they believe went on this year, and who was to blame. And obviously his drafts haven't been great, but the football team was winning football games until this year.
All three general managers that let that guy go have all now been fired.
Sam Darnold,
what a run.
And Olin, don't look now, but the Bears have the most stable organization in the NFC North this offseason.
Yeah, and it's really like you guys are talking about, right? The Bears are taking a step. People want people out of that building. When's the last time we talked about that, right? And the things you're talking about, David, where you're hearing the right things coming out of Halas all year. Ben Johnson, Ryan Post talk at the end of the year press conferences how, look, we're not anywhere where we want to be. Next year doesn't count for this year doesn't count for next year. Just like you're saying, the stability that they found from hiring this young football coach has really been interesting, the way they've turned it around. Can they keep this momentum going? We'll see.
All right, we'll let you go, Olin. Just in terms of the Super Bowl, will somebody go for it on 4th down? Do I have to see that once more?
Of course they will. They got that young coach, right? Mike McDonald. They got the original Wonder Boy over there, and Josh McDaniels, right? Who was the first guy. Yeah. He's probably the guy in the room always saying, "Look, man, I got the head coach job way before McVay, and they only talk about McVay." Right? So, he was. Yeah, I think he was 29 when he got the OC job in New England, and then 32 when he became a head coach. So kind of the original guy, but I'm sure we'll see him. The Seattle Seahawks love to do the tush push with their tight end. So we're going to see some guys go for it on 4th down, Mully. So make sure you have yourself a good drink and you're nice and relaxed.
Good stuff,
You're
Olin.
the best, Olin. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys, man.